Do self-help books actually help? I used to think that self-improvement meant waking up earlier, doing more, pushing harder, really just grinding, grinding, grinding until something clicked. But becoming a mom, starting a business, it really forced me to realize that approach is not sustainable. And honestly, there are so many bad self help books out there full of cliches, extreme advice, or routines that only work if your life is perfectly calmed and uninterrupted. Over the past few years, I have gone through a massive identity shift: motherhood, stepping away from real estate full time, launching my OBM business. Surprise, I'm launching a business today, and trying to design a life that actually feels sustainable and a life that I love. I was anxious and overwhelmed and constantly feeling behind the eight ball, even though on paper, everything looked like it was fine. So today I want to share with you the books that genuinely changed how I work, how I plan my life, and how I define success. Not in a hustle way, in a real life kind of way. Before we get started, a couple of notes, couple of caveats. It is like 0 degrees today in Nebraska. They canceled school. It is so cold. So yes, I am wearing a glorified blanket. And for some of these, I don't have a physical copy. I utilize my local library whenever possible. So if I don't have a physical copy of it, I'll just over here, I will put up a picture of the book cover so that way it's easier for you to find. Lastly, if I pronounce any of these authors' names incorrectly, please know I am already annoyed with myself. As somebody who has a name that is not very common, I get it and I am trying my best. Now that that's out of the way, before we dive in, couple of books I want to quickly mention. These are my honorable mentions. They didn't make the top 8, but I still highly recommend them. First, The Rules Don't Apply by Ariel Levy. It is more of a memoir, but I feel like it really gives you permission to live life unconventionally. Next up, more of a memoir as well, The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. If you are a Shondaland girl, this is where it's at. I really enjoyed this. Really a great real life example of mindset expansion. And also realizing that no matter who you are, even when you are literally Shonda Rhimes, there's always something that you can expand upon. The One Thing, Gary Keller, Jay Papasan. I started my real estate career at Keller Williams. Both of these men are absolutely incredible visionaries. And this is great for focus seasons or when you're really just not sure how to start making a change, figuring out what your one lead domino is, and just working on pushing that over every single day. All right, let's get into the heavy hitters. First up, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm not sure how I made it this far in life without having a physical copy, but I do have the audiobook version and I listen to Atomic Habits at least once a year. I picked it up during a season where I felt wildly inconsistent. I would start a routine, hang out with it for, a week or two, and then completely fall off the bandwagon. And I thought that that meant something was wrong with me. But the big idea is that habits aren't about motivation or discipline, they're about identity. So it's not about the big ideas and the big goals that you have. It's more about you fall to the level of the person that you believe that you are. So if you think you're a person who does X, you're going to be a person who does X. So instead of asking, what should I do? I started asking, who am I becoming? And that shift really made habits feel more sustainable and more supportive rather than restrictive. So if you feel inconsistent, scattered, Atomic Habits is a great place to start. Building off of that, the next book is The Power of Habit: Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business by Charles Duhigg. I read this one because I really wanted to understand why I kept repeating the same patterns or why I kept returning to a baseline even when I wanted more for myself. And basically the gist of it, the core idea is that every habit follows a loop. You have a cue, the routine, the reward. And so once you understand what that loop is for you, you can change the habit without sacrificing who you are. This helped me build off of what I learned in Atomic Habits, and it helped me release a lot of shame. I'm not lazy or undisciplined. I just was operating with like my caveman brain on autopilot. So if you want to understand your brain instead of fighting it, you'll love this one. Next up is Slow Productivity: The Lost Art of Accomplishment Without Burnout by Cal Newport. This I actually just picked up on a whim at the library. The title sounded intriguing to me, and I feel like I was in a little bit of a season of burnout when I read it. I actually now have a few other of Cal's books on my list to read, but the gist of this is productivity doesn't mean doing more faster. It honestly should be more about doing fewer things better over longer time periods. And what really hit home for me was thinking about the fact that a lot of my great ideas come when I'm quote unquote doing nothing. When I'm taking a shower, when I'm walking to the park with my toddler, when I am waking up in the middle of the night, that's when I get a lot of those like aha moments. And so, how do I build more of that into my schedule? And honestly, this book completely reshaped how I run my business as far as how many things I'm putting on my plate on a day-to-day basis. It helped me stop treating urgency as importance. So if productivity makes you anxious instead of empowered, read this. Okay, finally, a book that I actually have a physical copy of, The 12-Week Year. You've probably heard me mention this in a few of my other videos. The 12-week year is actually how I plan my life, and I've been doing this for quite a while. My real estate team started coaching on the 12-week year, and it really transformed not just our business, but my personal life as well. You change so much over the course of a year. And so the goals that you set in January, a lot of times aren't applicable to where you're at in life by June. Planning my life in 12-week seasons rather than 12-month years. If you love structure, this system is beautiful. It gives you urgency without burnout, flexibility without chaos. I try to do 3 12-week years every year, not 4. This isn't quarterly planning. This is a 12-week year. You're not supposed to start it on the first of the month. You're not supposed to start it at a time that's like super satisfying. 12-week years also helped me with tracking, and I love a good spreadsheet. You all know that. So I actually am working on a 12-week year spreadsheet that you guys will be able to use. So that'll be coming soon. Shifting gears just a little bit. Next up, the let them theory. I picked this up literally the day it came out. Actually, my mother bought it for me. And during that time frame, I was having a lot of anxiety. I knew that I wasn't happy with where I was, but I was terrified of making a change in my life because what were people going to think? The let them theory is let people think what they want. Let them have their own opinions and make the choices they're going to make. You don't need to have the care and the responsibility for that. That is not your cross to bear. It freed up an unbelievable amount of mental energy for me. So if you are in a season where other people's opinions or conversations or reactions or expectations feel like they're controlling you, this book was incredibly healing for me. Next, The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control by Catherine Morgan Schaeffler. Oof. I used to think that perfectionism was a superpower. You know, when you have a job interview and they ask you what's something that you are really good at and what's something that you're working on or what's your strengths and weakness, I would always say that perfectionism was both. You guys, perfectionism is not a strength. It really isn't. It's not about high standard. It is about fear. It is you being unable to take action because you're so fearful of what actually comes next. And so you tell yourself, I'm waiting for things to be perfect. I'm working on it. It's not quite there yet. And you never actually take the action. This book, I probably need to read it again because, again, being a perfectionist was such a core piece of who I was for so long. Imperfect action is a game changer. And so this book really helped me learn how to do that without spiraling out of control. If you feel like other people who aren't as talented or smart or creative or whatever are doing more than you and you are feeling stuck, this book is huge. It has a couple of quizzes in it to help you learn about your perfectionism type. Oof, so good. Overwhelmed, work, love, and play when nobody has the time. This is by Bridget Schulte. I think that my word of the year for 2025, whether I meant it to be or not, was overwhelmed. And every time I went to therapy, my therapist was like, "How are you?" I said, "Overwhelmed," for a solid 6 months. But honestly, I was exhausted and I couldn't figure out why. This book helped me really come to terms with the fact that I didn't have a time management problem. I had a load management problem. There were so many things on my plate, and most of the time I was the one who put them there because I thought that's what I needed to be doing. I thought that was the way that things were supposed to be. And so this book really helped me stop blaming myself for that structural overwhelm. I highly, highly, highly recommend this, especially for powerful moms, working moms, literally any mom. This book helps get rid of a little bit of that mom guilt. It's still there, but this has helped me reframe a lot of it. A classic, The 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss. I actually have had this book for probably, I don't know, 8 years, probably 8 years. And I read this before I got into any sort of self employment business. And it really cracked my worldview open to what assumptions I was making about work and time that I needed to spend working. It planted the seed for me that my life could be intentionally designed and not just this rat race. So if you are questioning traditional career paths, this helps expand what feels possible. Last book on the list, Designing Your Life, How to Build a Well-Lived, Joyful Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. And I'm going to be completely honest. I actually haven't read this one. This is the book that is next on my to be read. It feels like it's going to be a good one, and so I wanted to share it all with you before I even read it. I just picked this up from the library yesterday. I did read a few summaries. Your life is not one decision. It is a series of prototypes that you get to test out. Feels like reframing things from failure to evolution. Like you have to try things out. You have to fail to get to your next evolution. And really, there is no right choice on how to live your life. If you want to read this with me, we get started tomorrow. So there you have it, the books that I would recommend if you are ready to change your life, whether that is habits, work, identity, personal life, whatever it is. I hope that at least one of these books will help you on your way. If you're feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or like your old systems just stopped working, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just in a new season. Hopefully these books help you understand why and what to do next. And if you're navigating motherhood, career growth, or redefining your life entirely, subscribe because that is what this channel is all about. See you guys next week.